Hey everyone, for today's tutorial we're going to be discussing how to download images from Imagenet, as well as how to use basic image manipulation with OpenCV. We'll be using the Windows Powershell to do most of this work, and for Imagenet we're going to just download those directly from the Imagenet website. The first thing that we can do is navigate to www.imagenet.org. We can navigate through each of the classifications on the Imagenet site, including things like plant life, flora, geological formations, natural objects, fungus, person, animals. As we click through each one of these, they have subcategories, so we can then click on some of the subcategories. Some have multiple subcategories under them. On the right, we can go to Downloads and then click on URLs. This gives us some of the URLs in the set, so you can see that this set is actually pretty small. We can actually navigate to Explore, take all of the plant, flora, and plant life, which is 4,486 subcategories, go to Downloads, and then click Download URLs. So this is now all of the URLs associated with the plant, flora, and plant life in the Imagenet 14 million image dataset. So what we're going to do is actually just copy this into a note. You can also save directly from this page. And we're going to save this as a text file, and let's call it plant life _URLs. And then we're going to go to the start menu and type PowerShell. Your Windows PowerShell, if you're running Windows, will come up, and then just hit enter. This will open a terminal. We'll be able to run our Python code in here to grab the image URLs. Before we do this, we're actually going to navigate to our folder where we're anticipating saving these images and create one more folder, Imagenet _plant life. This is going to be so that we have an output folder ready for when we run the Python code. So if we go back to the PowerShell and type cd desktop, we can then type dir. This will show us everything in this folder path. We can see on our desktop we have some folders at the top, including Imagenet, fish, birds, invertebrates, plant life, plants. Some of these are empty, which we just made for the purposes of this tutorial. And we're going to open up this code in Atom. You can use any text editor for this. You can see at the top you have an argument parser, which allows you to input information from the command prompt or any coding terminal directly into the code without actually accessing the code file itself. So you can just pass in information. When we look at this, we can see that it takes an argument -u for a URL text file to be passed to it. Then it also takes the argument -o, which is then followed by the folder directory for the file save path. We're going to just minimize this code in Atom. Before we run this Python code to grab the images from Imagenet using the downloaded URLs, what we're going to need to do is set up a Conda environment. This Conda environment is going to allow us to access all of our dependencies needed to run these image processing codes. So that includes OpenCV as well as Imutils. Once we have created the virtual environment, we're going to type conda space activate and then the name of our virtual environment. You'll see that the parentheses on the left change from base to image pros. That is the name of our virtual environment, so that's how we know that we are in the virtual environment. Once we have our virtual environment set up, we're going to install the dependencies. For most of these tools, we're just going to need OpenCV. So I'm going to use OpenCV-contrib-python. Then we're going to install Imutils. You can check out PySearch for more information from the author of Imutils. They're very helpful videos and resources for anyone learning OpenCV and computer vision techniques. Once we have these two installed, we're going to stay in the virtual environment, but we should be able to use our Python code now. So remembering what we saw in Atom reading the Python file, we can type Python and then the name of the file, download underscore images.py, and then use the two arguments -u, type in the URL text name, so that is plantlife underscore urls.text space -o for the second argument, which is the file save path, and we're going to use the folder path for Imagenet underscore plantlife, and then hit enter to run the code. Once the code is finished, we can open up the folder and check all of the images that it is downloaded from the Imagenet database. We can now start to work with other image processing Python files. So if we open up a few of these in Atom, we can see what these codes require, and then how we can work with the recently downloaded images with these Python codes. So the first one that we're going to do is the image rewrite. So if we open this with Atom, we can see that it's finding the current working directory. It's asking for a string to append to the current working directory, which is the folder name. So for this, we're going to use Imagenet underscore plantlife. And then it's actually going to read each one of these images. It allows for a rotation, and then it also will save each one of the rotated images with an appended ROT to the name. And then go back to the PowerShell and type Python, and then the name of that Python code, which is image underscore rewrite.py, and then hit enter. This will now run the code, and if we open up the folder, we can see each image being rotated and appended in this folder list. There are several other Python files that work similarly, so we can use those to increase our image manipulation and data augmentation with our data sets to get the most out of our images. This was just a quick example of how to save URLs from Imagenet's page, and then to use Python for image manipulation and data augmentation so that we can prepare sets to train in Runway or a local GAN.